Morning, all. Morning. A lot of people on already, but morning. Morning, Rena. Morning, Roxanne. Thank you for my broom. Season greetings to you as well. Bookman Gangadi in morning. Macaroni Tony, Cyril Mayas, Ruben Rogers, morning to all of you guys. Holly Legol, morning. Thank you so much, Holly. Felix Hospitalis, morning. Lynette Harris, Neil Francois, morning, sir, always present. Will Turpin, morning. Lisa Atwater, morning. Anna, Daniela Williams, Charmaine Richardson, morning. Annie Frederick, morning. Galen, Arlene Lewis, morning to you. J Dimples, Althea, morning. Ruth Fronten, morning. Ruth, Deborah Duranty, Carol Boyce John. I was on a Zoom call, Carol, that ended up running a bit late. Morning, David. Angie Sherry, morning to you. Trevor, Carter Nelson, morning. Shah, morning to you. Simdon 17, Dexter Thwaite, Sedena Koshi, morning to you all. Terence Cummings, morning, sir. See who we have on Facebook. Annette Baird, morning. Bernadette, morning. Will Durant, Minard Lazari, morning. Morning, Claire. See. Slick Money Grip, good morning. Let's see who's that. Cool and Just Living. Morning. I think I've come across that name before. Claire Irish, morning. Annette Baird, morning to you. Deborah Duranty, Alison Boyce, morning, Alison. Kenneth Gabriel, morning to all of you guys. It is good to be back after a week or so. Leon Joseph Toko in the house. Greetings, sir. Lucy Brown. Greetings. Morning, Jen. Let's see. Yes. Right. Yeah, so let's see what I could do the time I have this morning, because this is another busy Sunday. Good morning to His Excellency, President of Pleasantville, Mr. Nigel O'Connor, and First Lady Mauricia Keegan. Pamela Moses, morning to you. Don Joseph, morning. Adriana Alexis, morning to all of you guys. All right, so let me get into it, and I guess the other folks will jump on. We didn't send out a notice that I would have been on today, but I did indicate at the last live I will be back on today after my all too short trip. Yeah, it was too short, and maybe it's a good thing it was too short, because I ended up spending more money than I had planned. But that's what happens with all of these sales that they have over there. Julia Spooner, morning. Jen says she thought she had a private jet. I almost missed my flight coming back home, Jen. You know, again, last minute, last day shopping. I see them that 2:00 flight. That Caribbean Airlines is a dangerous flight. I mean, I lost track of time, and before I knew it, yeah, and heading from Fort Lauderdale to Miami. So I'm driving, and let's just say my foot was a little heavy because I don't want to miss the flight. Because Caribbean Airlines counter in Miami International Airport from the rental car center is practically a mile and a half. Yeah. So after you drop out the people's car, you have to go and take the SkyTrain, and then when you get off the SkyTrain, you have to walk another length to their counter. And then when you get down there now, the customs area where you have to go through, they have about 10 different airlines using this one checkpoint. So yeah, it's a long line, and then they're moving slow. So if you're not on time, that's why they tell you make sure you reach in the airport 3 hours before the plane could end up leaving you. So in leaving, Jenny says because she don't have 9,000 US. And I would have called Trevor and asked him if he could give her a link, give her a blind. Yeah, so I decided, driving on a little extra speed, and for the first time, I get pulled over. Yeah, but the police officer was quite lenient. I explained to him I'm running late for my flight, and I'm heading all the way to Miami Airport. So, yeah, he said, well, keep it on, because if I give you this ticket, you'll have to come back in a month to go to attend to court. And so I wouldn't put you through that, but next time, yeah. So I got off there, and I must say the experience wasn't as unpleasant as we see sometimes happens in the US when you are pulled over by a police officer. Yeah. So especially when you are both have different ethnic backgrounds, if you all know what I mean. Right. So Orlando Smith says central bank website has core inflation at 1.2%. Wow, very good. Thank you so much, Denise, Joan, Austin. Yes, Mel says she doesn't like Miami Airport for that. Yeah, Miami Airport is too large, way, way, way too huge. Overly large. Yeah. Right, so Patricia McKenzie, Baba Osei, morning, Marlene Panton, morning to all of you guys, Glenn Richardson. So on this week's episode of the Chronicles of the UNC Sanitarium, yeah, I was still keeping abreast of some of the things that was happening in the country while I was out. So, you know, I always say the UNC is really a madhouse. 2 weeks ago, when Dr. Rowley went to Dubai, to Saudi Arabia, they had an issue with the Prime Minister flying to Saudi Arabia. Yeah? According to Munilal, on several different platforms, the Prime Minister jet off. He absconded and has left the country in the lurch with all of this crime taking place. And where's the Prime Minister and whatnot? And he gone and going here and going there. He going to Saudi Arabia, and then he going to London, and he going all over the place and all of that. They were complaining that the country is in a mess, and the Prime Minister finds so it fit to leave to attend a conference in Saudi Arabia, the first CARICOM Saudi Arabia conference, right? And they want to know how much money the Prime Minister would have been spent on this trip. And Munilal anticipated it would have cost at least $3 million. And they plan to file a question in the Parliament, and then they want to file a Freedom of Information request so they could find out how much money would have been spent on this one trip, for which, according to them, there would be no benefits to Trinidad and Tobago. Now, the Prime Minister decided that he's not going to COP28, and instead he would send Amory Brown to represent Trinidad and Tobago. You know, these madmen in that party have a problem with the fact that the Prime Minister didn't go to COP28. The same people who just 2 weeks ago was telling the Prime Minister absconded and left the country in the lurch. They vexed because the Prime Minister didn't go to COP28. I tell you, that they moved from circus to sanitarium. Yeah, a little bit of both, because there's only a set of mad clowns in that party. And when I having listened to them over the last few days, in particular, their contributions, this private motion that they brought last week with respect to the Dragon Gas deal, I am convinced they should be in a straitjacket in a padded room, every last one of them. Every last one of them. That's where they should be. Because I cannot believe that these people are citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, always talking about the state of the economy and the energy sector, and fighting down something that could benefit Trinidad and Tobago in a meaningful way. Not for 2 years, not for 5 years. Gas reserves, we're looking at about at least 25 years. But we know why it is they have an issue. But before I go there, let me see if I could play this. Let me get this. Where is it? Well, you know, whenever I ask you to, for your forbearance, who are going and play? I crave your indulgence as usual. But there is method to the madness. Let me see which one connected here. Right. So forgive me, I know some of you always can't take this man. I can't take me, but yeah. Look at this. No. I'll find this. Where is this video? This disrespectful twat. So probably loves your money. No, that's not it. That's not. I wonder if he took it down, but he probably wouldn't now, because let me see.
Says the Newsday editorial, the Prime Minister's decision not to attend the upcoming gathering of world leaders on climate crisis is disappointing, says the Newsday. Well, Newsday, you put him there. You and your former editor who went past the tree dog, past the parrot, down in the dungeon, open the door, lie down on the red couch and wait for Rowley Horny Gottfried to take effect. That's who you all have as Prime Minister. So don't be shocked. Last year he was gallerying, or last 2 years, oh, the environment and he's doing this and that. What nonsense. This total mama pool, you all allow to talk wherever he wants. And now you say, oh, it's disappointing that he didn't go COP28. COP28 don't have no CEO. It had no deal to make. It had no negotiation to do. It had no big money. It had no oil. It had no gas. It had no gold. It had no Chinese gate. It had no construction contract. It had no vessel to buy. It had no money. COP28 is just for sensible people who would like to improve the lives of the globe, of the people, of the 8 billion human beings. Not this fool. Not this. So y'all are upset that he didn't go? Well, let me tell you news there. He didn't go, but you know where he going? He go in London with his small pin to sign off on the new share agreement with Atlantic Train 1, 2, 3, and 4. One still shut down. You say why you didn't ask him how much maintenance they pay for the last 2 years, but to keep Atlantic Train 1 up when the shareholders say we want that. He coming to tell we that he and Small Pin, the two worst negotiators in the history of politics in the Caribbean, they're going to negotiate and we're going to get a higher percentage of the LNG from Atlantic. Yeah, because Atlantic and them don't want Train 1. Because Train 1 dead. Them hope.
Yeah, you all forgive me. Forgive me, Laverne. But sometimes I really need to, and I really need to play. I have another clip to play with him, so I'm begging all your indulgence again to allow me to play that, to play him. But he talking about the Prime Minister and Small Pin, because the Minister of Energy are the worst negotiators. I want to ask him, what did he ever negotiate when he was a minister, other than negotiate with Adolphus Daniel and Mr. Larry Hawaii was at the time the Minister of Finance, negotiate for Adolphus Daniel to get the contract to teach the little black boys, the at-risk youth, the urban youth, English and maths, right, under the Life Sport program for $34 million. That's the only thing this clown, this degenerate, this despicable gutter rat ever negotiated. And how did that fare for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? Adolphus Daniel has gone to the great beyond. $34 million gone. Citizens of this country never got a stick of chalk. We ain't get a pen, a pencil, an eraser, or a sharpener from that $34 million, which he, that degenerate, negotiated. Because Larry Hawaii is on record, published record, as having said that it was that, right? Even to refer to him as a gutter rat is a disrespect to gutter rats everywhere. I don't even think they've invented a word despicable enough to describe that piece of filth that is Anil Roberts. He's disgusting to the hilt. That, and that's sitting in our Senate and is being called the Honorable, thanks to Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Right? So this during the debate last week, he decided to take amateur night at the Hawk and Spit to the Parliament. So they had the Parliament version. And he is the Senate version of Rudal Munilal in the lower house. Every time they make a presentation, they always seem it is an opportunity for them to be clowns. They feel it's a comedy, stand-up comedy fest or something like that. So I listened to him, unfortunately, last night. I fell asleep during some of his contribution. And when I wake back up, I heard the rest of it. It really and truly, it was much ado about nothing. A waste of about 40 minutes of my time, minus the maybe 10 or 15 minutes that I fell asleep. Thank goodness for that. But to listen to this clown, this idiot, come and talk about the Prime and Atlantic LNG and so on. You know, he wouldn't go in depth with respect to that, to talk about the renegotiation. That previously Trinidad and Tobago only had ownership in one of the 4 trains. And the one that we had ownership in was Train 1, which was the one that was shut down. Well, not shut down, but because of the shortage of gas, that one was laid fallow. So it's there, and the government spends money to ensure that it is not, unlike the refinery, that it is not placed in a situation where if and when gas becomes available for them to restart, that it's a costly process, right? But he wouldn't tell you that was the only train that we had ownership in, 10% ownership, and the other three, we had no ownership. We would just get taxes and royalties. And so now with this, what the Prime Minister is going to London to do, to sign off on the renegotiated contract with respect to the trains, where we are going to have ownership in others as well. And now, with the potential for the Dragon gas to be coming on stream soon enough, that train one would more than likely come back into play, which is something that they definitely do not want, that the UNC is not interested in. And if you listen to them over the last week, you would see why that is so. And I found it interesting while I was away, and I was going through Facebook and stuff, and I'm seeing the debate. They appointed this idiot to lead the charge with respect to vilifying the Dragon gas deal. So they've come with all kind of things to try and shut it down. So David Lee is suggesting that this dispute between Guyana and Venezuela and the Essequibo issue, I believe the Venezuelan referendum is supposed to take place today. I think I read earlier on Facebook today that Venezuela has established some military base or something on the Essequibo, I guess, in anticipation of what the outcome of today's referendum is going to be, right? So first of all, we had David Lee come out and tell the government, well, here what now? You all need to stand in solidarity with Guyana, and therefore you need to put this Dragon gas thing on pause. Tell Maduro thanks, but no thanks. So all of the negotiations that you all have been engaging in since 2016 come forward, and more so over the last couple months or the last 10 months or so, since in January, when the US announced that they would be granting a license to Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, to negotiate the Dragon gas. For the first 9 months, you would notice that while they would have mentioned, the opposition matters, they would have spoken to it in certain tones. They weren't as vociferous over the first 9 months since that license was announced as they have been over the last month or so. And for them to take it so far as to bring a private motion in the Senate to discuss it so that all of them could get an opportunity to come and bash and talk about non-disclosure agreement and transparency and probity and all of that. They hold a press conference. So they reintroduce their midweek conference. So they have a press conference Wednesday, they have a press conference Tuesday. The Sunday morning waste of time, 1.5, 1/4 question press conference. The Monday night forum, the pavement report, and all of these different things, right? And then they have this clown is leading the charge. So he hold a press conference, I think 2 or 3 days ago, to again come and talk about the Dragon gas deal and all of that. And in listening to these clowns, right, this is sandals on steroids. Sandals on steroids. When I see the posts up on Facebook, comments from their supporters who always complaining about the state of the economy and the state of the energy sector and how the country's suffering and the economy is on the brink and the economy is in free fall and this energy sector collapse under the PNM and people losing jobs and all of this kind of thing that they're talking about. These very same people who claim to be patriots and want the best for the country, supporting this foolishness by the United National Congress to scuttle this Dragon gas deal, which, as I've said before on numerous occasions, has straddled 3 administrations. This isn't something that started under Keith Rowley and Keith Rowley's administration. It started under Patrick Manning. Came forward under the People's Partnership for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. They made zero headway, none at all. Despite the fact that Kamala Persad-Bissessar was praising Maduro when they had the Summit of the Americas, I think in Colombia and so on, praising his leadership when she sat next to him. He came here, met with him and all of this different thing. And then when she was out of power, back in 2018 or so, they supported Juan Guaido to be the president of Venezuela. Now, and as I said, this is sandals on steroids. The very same arguments that they came out with that resulted in Sandals packing up and saying, you know what, we don't need this, we gone. All you don't want us, not a problem. It's the same strategy that they come in with to deal with this Dragon gas issue. Right? So, first of all, let us hold meetings, let us establish a propaganda campaign, and let us put things out there that would sow seeds of doubt in the minds of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, especially with respect to transparency and probity. Yeah? So we will tell them, well, look, the government, this NDA, this non-disclosure agreement, why it is they don't want to tell the citizens of this country how much money they go in and spend and what are the particulars of the non-disclosure. It was the same thing with Sandals. Same thing. They want to know what is the particulars of the memorandum of understanding and how much the government money, taxpayers' money the government going to spend and what concessions they given to Sandals and all of this different thing. And because the response from the government was not sufficient to counter their campaign, Sandals picked up and left. Even when Adam Butchot came here to discuss, to debunk the things that were being put in the press, in particular the Express, when they ran a whole story, a whole series, a 4-part series, maligning the whole Sandals issue, making claims about the project would cost $8 billion and all kind of thing. And nothing could have been further from the truth. And Adam Stewart had to come here, representative of Sandals, and held a press conference to debunk the things that the Express said. How did the Express respond? The following week, they published a whole article from since 2016 about a couple that went to the Bahamas to, I think it was to a Sandals resort somewhere there, for their wedding, and the bride was allegedly sexually assaulted by the private butler. And that was a front page story in the Express because they couldn't stand by the information that they put out in the 4-part series, maligning Sandals and the deal, right? Such that when Adam Stewart called them out as liars and purveyors of misinformation, rather than say, we stand by what we publish, and this is the evidence that we have to support what we said, they went on a propaganda campaign to try and smear the reputation of Sandals. Nobody knew about this thing that had happened with this couple, but the Express saw it fit to make that a Sunday morning front page article. And I read that and I'm saying, okay, this is an interesting read, but why did the Express need to publish this as a front page article? This is not any big news. It had nothing else that they could have published front page. And we saw through it and what it is the Express was trying to do at the time. And they were successful, the UNC was successful in getting Sandals to leave. Here we have an opportunity to access gas. Trillions of cubic feet of natural gas are just sitting under the sea and has been sitting under the sea for hundreds of millions of years. Natural gas that is needed, natural gas that could boost our economy, natural gas that could bring an influx of US dollars, foreign exchange. Damian Lida complaining every opportunity he gets about the shortage of foreign exchange, and he's a businessman in this country and he can't get foreign exchange, and he went to one bank or something, so the bank tell him he could only get 10,000 US for the month or some kind of thing like that. Every opportunity he gets talking about foreign exchange shortage and how it's affecting business in this country. And here it is, we have an opportunity that could see a practical endless supply of foreign exchange coming into the country to replace that which has been lost due to the decline in the output of oil and domestic natural gas production. And they are calling on the government through several different platforms to stop the Dragon gas deal. And one must ask the question, why? As citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, if one is so concerned about the economy, why would you want to scuttle the Dragon gas deal? And we know, party before country. For them, they couldn't care less. The PNM between now and 2025 must do absolutely nothing that could boost their political stocks. Because the UNC knows that whatever little hope they have of winning in 2025 on a daily basis continues to be eroded. When we see in the newspapers, when we see on social media publications about different private sector entities recording significant profits, Republic Bank and Scotia Bank and RBC, when we see companies like Extra Foods opening a new outlet in Arangwes, when we see the development that is taking place in that area there by Extra Foods Plaza in Arangwes there. When you're passing there, whether you're heading to town or you're heading out, and you just look across the road and you see the development that is taking, all of these things belies what they are telling you, that the country and the economy is in a bad place. We are seeing development taking place under this administration that didn't take place between 2010 to 2015. We are seeing companies recording increases in revenue and profits that we did not see, the likes of which we didn't see between 2010 to 2015, when they would have you believe the country was a veritable utopia. Everything was perfect. The economy was going guns. And under Keith Rowley and the PNM, the economy is in tatters. Churches Chicken, that Nasalura Maya Road from the Ministry of Agriculture go all the way down to Price Plaza in Shogunas. Look at the type of the development taking place there. Between 2010 to 2015, other than the Ministry of, between the Ministry of Agriculture and Price Plaza, the only thing you had was what? Baraka Grounds and Bush. Baraka Grounds and Bush. But under Keith Rowley, between 2015 to now, look at that whole stretch has developed. Whole stretch. They have Pennywise Plaza. Now that whole new plaza, massive, one that bigger than Pennywise Plaza, is almost, because I see some M6 Plaza or something like that. Right next to, only a wall separating Pennywise Plaza and M6 Plaza. And M6 Plaza a little bigger than Pennywise. And they're building storefront for everybody. Who's going to set up shop there? Because they wouldn't build if they didn't have tenants to come and occupy, because then that would be a waste of money. Look at Eastgates in Trin City, the newest mall, right? That is owned by the Abwood family. Every day I listen to the radio, and I'm hearing as a different store, some new store open up in this mall, this massive mall. When they were building it, I was thinking, but they're building this mall here, but who coming to set up shop here? Go inside there, no one seen her. While Trin City Mall is a veritable ghost town, Eastgate's thriving. Every day is a new tenant setting up shop inside it. But they're telling you the economy in free fall and nobody investing. It was only a matter of time before the owners of Eastgate Mall would recover whatever investment they would have spent on that structure, that massive structure that they put up there. In fact, they probably don't have space for all the tenants who want to go there. Any day, time of the day, you pass by that mall. Go in the car park. Could barely find parking spot. But we ain't have money. And we suffering. And things hard. And we working on 2013 salaries. But yet still, these establishments are being built. Church's Chicken, opening another outlet right next to KFC by Extra Foods Plaza on Nasalura Maya Road. Right? It's probably about 10 feet separating the two buildings. Soon enough, they're going to run out of space on that stretch to build anything. I think they just probably have one or two more lots of land there available, and it's only a matter of time before you see something constructed there. None of that existed between 2010 to 2015. 2015 to 2023. In a failing economy, an economy that is in free fall, you're seeing all of that taking place. So when they come with that stupid talk, they know come 2025, that talk can't hold water at all. Because the evidence would be to the contrary. That when you have the mayor, the UNC mayor of San Fernando boasting about how Shogunas, boasting about how, Shogunas is the fastest growing constituency in terms of businesses opening in Shogunas. Yeah, the mayor of Shogunas boasting about that. But in the same tone, he will come and tell you about the economy to support that foolishness. You can't be half pregnant, pal. It's either you're pregnant or you're not. But you can't be boasting that the constituency over which you are the mayor is doing so well, and you're seeing businesses gravitating to Shogunas, and then want to come and tell us that the economy, that nobody invested in Trinidad and Tobago. They're only focusing on foreign direct investment and not domestic investment that we see taking place all over. All over, money spending. So they know that can't work. And if it is that the PNM is able, under Keith Rowley, is able to finally close off this Dragon Gas deal, well, that's the nail in the coffin for them, right? Because as they've been saying, and I listened to Damian Leiter last night, thank goodness, he only had 15 minutes to talk. He said when the debate resumes at some other time, he will, finish off and share the rest. But he was saying that the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago are pinning their hopes on this Dragon Gas deal. The business sector is pinning their hopes on what could come from this Dragon Gas deal. And that is the problem. If you have so many, as he says, the whole country, I quote him Leiter here, in the Senate, it's on Hansard, saying the whole country is pinning their hopes on this dragon gas deal, that the opportunities it's going to present from foreign exchange and so on, and the increase in jobs and the expansion of the economy and all of that. And if the whole country, as he says, has a positive outlook for this dragon gas deal, then if it happens and the final signature goes on and the process begins to monetize this dragon gas deal, it's all over for them. So they cannot allow that to happen. So they come in with all kind of arguments, from that the government should relax and they should put it aside because and stand in solidarity with Guyana. But as I mentioned to you all before, Guyana don't want nothing to do with our refinery. When it was offered to them, they say thanks, but no thanks. When they want to build their own refinery, what did they do? Rather than look to Trinidad and Tobago, which has experience, years of experience in that area, they went to the Dominican Republic and signed an agreement there with them to build refinery, to explore the construction of refinery in their country. No problem. It is their right to do. It's their oil, their gas, whatever. No problem with that. There's no time between. When the Nationals was cussing out Dr. Rowley the other day simply because he made a little joke about the currency, Barra Jagdeo, finally didn't come to Dr. Rowley's defense. They didn't do a live to tell the Nationals, hey, he's up now. The man said it in jest. In fact, Barra Jagdeo at a press conference, so to make much ado about nothing and make it seem as if it is Dr. Rowley was disrespecting their country and their economy, right? But he was supporting, but we must take a position independent of the rest of CARICOM. They're not calling on Barbados and St. Lucia and St. Vincent and Grenada and Dominica and the rest of them to put out individual statements condemning Venezuela. No, Trinidad and Tobago must be the only country that does that. We must take the lead. So Dr. Rowley and the PNM must take chain up. Hear them. Yes, Trinidad and Tobago must stand tall. We must take the lead in respect of condemning Venezuela with respect to what they are doing concerning the Essequibo. Once again, Trinidad and Tobago must show that we are the leaders in the Caribbean. I hope Dr. Rowley and them ain't taking that chain up. Let them keep that stupid talk. All of a sudden, they know about diplomacy. Yeah, they know about diplomacy. But when they were doing things that resulted in the Jamaicans wanting to boycott Trinidad and Tobago products, they didn't know about diplomacy then. They didn't know about diplomacy then, but Dr. Rowley must practice diplomacy. Yeah? So they're creating a scenario now for regional leaders to come and put pressure on our government to stand in solidarity with Guyana and to do away or to abandon something that could benefit this country for at least 25 years. For at least 25 years. And these people this is the government in waiting. Yeah, the next government of Trinidad and Tobago, as Munila loves to say, this PNM government is on its way out, and we are on our way in. Kamla Persaud-Bissessar is the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and we have the plans, the policies, and the programs to take Trinidad and Tobago out of the morass that Keith Rowley and the PNM has put it in. But ask them, do a comparison and tell us the development that we see in public and private sector that taken place and has taken place in the last 8 years. Show us the equivalent from 2010 to 2050. What did they do in the energy sector that they could beat their chest about between 2010 to 2050? 8 companies lost over $10 billion over a 4-year period because the man who was the Minister of Energy then, right? When the Point Lisas Energy Association wrote him a letter in 2011 talking about the gas curtailments and the issues that it was having on the industry. And it was reported that that letter was largely ignored, resulting in the Point Lisas Energy Association having to write another letter 2 years later, saying, well, look, the letter we sent you 2 years ago, we're still waiting on a response for that. We are willing to put our money where our mouth is. We are willing to do what is required to make investments to fix the problem. But you come in to tell us it's because of maintenance. And we know it's not because of no maintenance issue. You all have a gas supply problem. We are willing to meet you at the table to discuss what we could do to fix the problem. No dice. No dice for 2 years. So the second letter that was sent, telling them basically, yeah, what now? If Trinidad and Tobago don't have gas, let me know. We have no problems packing up shop and going somewhere else where they do have gas in an abundant supply, and we don't have to worry about any supply issues, right? We do an all a favor by continuing to operate in Trinidad, but we don't have to do that. And if your government continues to disrespect us and don't want to engage with us, right, and only feeding us janjat and expect us to stay here, we have no problem packing up shop and leaving. That is a letter that was written to the Minister of Energy in 2014, not between 2015 to 2023. But this clown, he don't know about that letter. He forget about that. But want to talk about who is the Rowley administration that destroyed the energy sector. No foreign direct investment. In fact, under them, foreign direct investment has now reversed and it is negative. But we have this new park. Is it in Point Lisas? I think it is. Where we just had, they're expecting some about, is it 10 to 15 or so Chinese companies that will be coming in the first instance. And a number of other companies on the way. Summit Luggage, which is the first company set up there, just sent out their first shipment of luggage, 4,700 pieces of luggage to Canada, right? The Minister of Trade and Industry is out of the country promoting Trinidad and Tobago in London, trying to encourage companies over there to come to Trinidad and Tobago to set up shop and invest here, bring foreign direct investment dollars. So they're not just sending out export TT. The minister herself is going there and representing. She just came from China, where she was doing the same thing. Now she's in London doing the same thing, right? So her permanent secretary had to deputize on her behalf, went to this event where they pack up the truck. The Chinese company pack up the truck to ship out the first shipment. And you're looking at that on Facebook and reading the comments from the supporters of that other party. And they have a problem with that, want to know what the permanent secretary doing there and how that benefits in Trinidad, because when this shipment goes out and the money goes to the Chinese company and they're going to repatriate that money to China as profits, and how we benefiting and why that is a good thing and why we must pat ourselves on the back for that. You know, if this same company had decided to go and set up shop in Barbados or set up shop in Guyana or set up shop in Suriname, which is two of the favorite countries of the UNC, we'd hear something else. Nobody here want to come to Trinidad. Nobody don't want to invest in Trinidad. Nobody don't want to set up nothing in Trinidad. But they set up in Trinidad. They had all those other options. They came here and set up here with the intentions, and they are courting their compatriots from back in China. Tell them more of them, well, come to Trinidad. And the only thing the supporters of that party could find to talk about what the permanent secretary was doing there. And how we stand to benefit from this. So we don't stand to benefit through employment. The government of Trinidad and Tobago and the coffers doesn't stand to benefit from taxes. No, we don't stand to benefit from that, because all they could see is a Chinese company, and they come in here and they will send out this stuff and they will earn the money, and government and Trinidad and Tobago wouldn't benefit. You see the waterfront ilk. But you would only get that level of intelligence in that party. Yeah, and they're proud to come on social media, you know, and talk that kind of foolishness. Proud to talk that kind of foolishness. And want to tell you and me that party is the ideal alternative and should come back into power in 2025 with a frail leader who fighting for her political survival within her own party. And every opportunity they get, they're trying to convince all, I don't have no Kuchura and Bacchanal taking place in the UNC. We only have one leader. And there is no leadership vacancy in the UNC, right? Kamla Persad-Bissessar is the maximum leader. And anybody who telling Ole otherwise, lying to Ole. But you're hearing there are pockets within the UNC who know. And thanks to UNC Cabal, who continues to expose the WhatsApp group chats that they have, the concerns that are being expressed in these group chats with respect to how the UNC is alienating the very people that they need to vote for them in 2025 for them to get back into power. With nastinesses like Anil Roberts, the filth that comes out of his mouth that turns off people who are on the fence. Yeah, that third constituency, a persons who are neither PNM or UNC, but who on election day will cast their ballots based on issues, will weigh the two to see who is the better, the lesser of two evils. And when you have people the likes of Nakid, Anil Roberts, and Doppy, and the rest of them, with their filthy mouths, right? All over social media, and any other opportunity that they could get to malign the government, the prime minister, ministers of government, making allegations of marital infidelity and the prime minister sleeping with who and which minister get a work because they're sleeping with the prime minister and this red couch that he keeps talking about and you have to go and lie down on that couch with the prime minister. All kind of foolishness. These things tune in people off. And there are persons within the ranks of the UNC who are very concerned. This is why they're struggling to get financiers. Financiers to support who are not dotish, who are about party before country, right? They are about the pocket. They are about dollars and cents. And they're seeing what it is the UNC, those within the hierarchy of the UNC trying to deny. The financiers, the potential financiers, not stupid. So when they want to go on a platform and say, no, there is no leadership crisis in the UNC. There is no challenge to the leadership of Kamala Persad-Bissessar. We only have one leader and we all support her. The financiers and them are stupid. They know because you know why? Some of them supporting the coup. Some of them supporting the factions that are trying to get rid of her. So they know better. And when they realize there is no strategy to really mount a platform that could rival the PNM, they're not interested. They are not interested. Right? So, coming back to the issue of the dragon gas, to promote the dragon gas, it must not happen under the PNM. Because if it happens over the course of the next 2 years, Crapo smoke their pipe in 2025. But the problem is Trinidad and Tobago. If the UNC were to come back into office in 2025, there would still be no dragon gas deal, ever. So long as Nicolas Maduro is the president of Venezuela, if the UNC is in power in Trinidad and Tobago, kiss dragon gas goodbye. Right? So when they come and tell you they could do this, the UNC's list of transgressions against the Maduro administration since 2016 is as egregious, it is as unforgivable as it is long. And for those who may feel that Nicolas Maduro is not taking copious notes of what is happening in Trinidad, at least from the perspective of the opposition, and the things that they are saying, you would be sorely mistaken. So just remember, we have a Venezuelan embassy here, and we have a Venezuelan ambassador, and we have Venezuelan diplomats who read the daily newspapers, who watch television, who are in tune with what is the political goings on in Trinidad and Tobago. And they are seeing and hearing what the UNC is saying with respect to the dragon gas deal. So, first of all, since 2016, when the UNC would have written to when this administration came in and very early on, straight off the bat, was looking to see what we could do with respect to dragon gas. Now, the timeline, once all final contracts are signed off, is that we could start seeing gas from Dragon, if everything goes well, by 2028, which is 5 years from now. Now, imagine if it is in 2016, we were where we are now, then we would have already started to reap gas from the Dragon field, and the benefits to be derived therefrom, right? So since 2016, when they wrote to the National Assembly in Venezuela, which is controlled by the opposition, to tell them don't ratify, do not sanction, do not endorse any gas agreement between Rowley and Maduro, because the Rowley administration is illegitimate. Illegitimate. They won an election based on gerrymandering on the part of the EBC, and they would not be in office for very long. Do not sign any agreement. Do not support any agreement between them and Maduro. In the early days, when it is in Venezuela, the problem wasn't a shortage of food and all of these things. We were seeing it. Remember, the first thing they were seeing a shortage of was toilet paper, and that was the big joke. You couldn't find toilet paper on the shelves in Venezuela. That was the big joke, the stock joke then. And then eventually we saw the situation start to worsen with respect to medical supplies. They weren't getting certain medicines and so on. And then it started to expand to the food and all these different things. And this administration sought to step in to assist. It came to an agreement with the government of Venezuela where our local manufacturing sector would provide 50 million, a line of revolving credit, $50 million of manufactured goods to Venezuela every month. 50 million. And all we could have satisfied was 27, as lamented by the then head of the TTMA, Rolf Balgobin. Yeah? Who negotiated that? It was the Keith Rowley administration. All they're complaining, all they're getting US and US short and US this. Well, all right. We have created an opportunity for you all to get 50 million US a month. 50 million. Yeah, but if they just forget that, they just forget that. Since then, they had an issue. When it is in 2018, when the government decided to begin the process of registering Venezuelans and so on, you all remember what happened? The UNC retained the services of a transgender person to mount a campaign of Rowley must go because they're giving preference to Venezuelans over Trinis, right? And that whole group, when the registration was taking place at the Oval, they went there with a placard, Rowley must go, and Cho-Chung must go, and who must go, and who must go. And then when it is that they went to Tobago for the final leg of the registration, they hopped plane and went across to Tobago to do the same thing. So remember that individual? Goes by the name of Ranking Kia Boss or something so. Yeah, that was once a host on that station. That station. You remember that? And it caused a whole set of people within the UNC because they had people like Anderson Williams, not Andy, Andy Williams and them from the Underground Report was complaining that they heard that this individual got $250,000 for that to mount that campaign, and they who talking for the UNC so long can't even get that kind of money. Remember that? And then Andy Williams called Kamala on live on air, and the exchange between the two of them and so on, and all of that set up. I feel the Maduro administration wasn't in tune with that. What was the UNC's position with respect to this government's decision to assist Venezuelan citizens in Trinidad and Tobago so that they could legally work and live here, right? So the first one, they write letter to the National Assembly telling them don't support nothing Maduro and Rowley signed, because just like we consider Rowley's administration to be illegitimate in Trinidad, we support your view that the Maduro administration in Venezuela is illegitimate. But she didn't think it was illegitimate when she was prime minister. And she was mollycoddling all up under Maduro. When he come here, all smiles. It wasn't illegitimate then. Yeah? So that is two. Right? Then we had the situation with respect to, again, the whole, aside from the Dragon gas deal, we had under Donald Trump, when the Trump administration was supporting Juan Guaido as the legitimate president, the interim president of Venezuela. And when everybody else were throwing the support behind Guaido, Dr. Rowley said, as far as we're concerned, my government, whoever answered the phone in Miraflores when I call, that is who I recognize as the president. And unless and until that person is democratically removed by the citizens of Venezuela, that is who I recognize, that is who I acknowledge as the president. Don't tell me nothing about no Juan Guaido. When Juan Guaido, living in Miraflores, when he's sitting down in the presidential office and he is the man answering the phone, then I will recognize him. Until then, I am taking a neutral stance, and whoever is there now, that is who I recognize. Right? You feel Maduro didn't take note of that? You think he didn't take note of the fact that the UNC pledged their public support for Juan Guaido and were calling for Nicolas Maduro to be ousted? You think he's not aware of that? So he just have it there, right? Number 3. And here he's compiling his list. And there's people here compiling the list too. Yeah, diplomatic relations, because he needs to know if it is today or tomorrow an election is called in Trinidad and Tobago, which was called in 2020. If the Rowley administration is no longer around, then I need to know, do I have the support of who is likely to replace them? And he knew full well he didn't have that support. Yeah, so you think he'd take note of that? You have the notepad there. Copious notes of the things that the UNC is saying. Now they're calling on the government to do what? To denounce Maduro and his position, and the government refuses so to do. All of these things. So when they hold them, bringing the motion in the Senate, notes are being taken. So as I said, if today or tomorrow or 2025, we play fast and loose with our vote and put those people back in office, Maduro want nothing to do with them. Absolutely nothing to do with them. Right? And to reinforce that is the fact, and you see, this is the problem. All these people who are talking about is non-disclosure agreement, and they want people to know, and it's taxpayers' money, and we want to know how much money you're going to spend, and what it is Venezuela's gas. And this is the point they continue to miss. Dragon Field, cross-border, Trinidad and Tobago gas, Venezuela gas. The bulk of the gas is on Venezuela's side of the waters. Yeah? But it's not like it have a dividing wall between the two. They say, well, okay, Trinidad gas is on the right side and Venezuela's gas is on the left side. So Trinidad could come and monetize their side and Venezuela's gas is on top. Just one big field. So unless it is that the gas on the two sides have an accent, so the gas on Venezuela side talking Spanish and the gas on Trinidad side talking English, right? Trinidad English, so that when it is that they extracting the gas, they say, well, all right, well, let me listen. We gotta make sure they have no Venezuelan gas and mixing up a Trinidad gas inside there, right? Because then the Venezuelans will get vexed. They'll say we taking their gas. There is no possibility of differentiating between the two. It's just one big pool of gas. All right? So it is better we go this way. But these people seem to forget. If it's Venezuela gas, as Cho Chong has told us on more than occasion, every time he goes across to Venezuela, PDVSA office, to sit down and discuss the Dragon gas deal and to advance that issue. When he step outside, you have a long line of prospects sit down outside, waiting to go inside the same office to negotiate, to see how they could get a piece of the energy sector in Venezuela. And understand that if it is, we were to listen to the UNC and take their position to say, well, here what we standing with Guyana. And therefore, we are going to tell Maduro we're not interested in the Dragon now until they sort out that. Maduro could simply say, well, all right, no problem, next. And they would probably have a long line of energy companies and other countries who are willing to come and bring the capital to build an LNG train in Venezuela, to monetize that gas on behalf of Venezuela. And Venezuela will deal with them, and to hell was Trinidad and Tobago. They seem to forget that. So when they want to talk about how much taxpayers' money and taxpayers' money, if Venezuela says we want a non-disclosure agreement because Trinidad and Tobago isn't the only country that we are negotiating with, you all need to understand that. And if we are inclined to give you all certain concessions, if we are inclined to give you all a blight or to give you all a little more than we're willing to give the others, we don't need that publicized such that when these other companies and countries come to talk to us, they come in to say, well, they get Trinidad and Tobago this, so why we can't get that too? And we want to start our negotiation from the point of what you give Trinidad and Tobago. Maduro and the Venezuelan administration has good cause to give Trinidad and Tobago preferential treatment when it comes to Dragon, right? Because a lot of their citizens live here. Our government has gone out of its way to accommodate their citizens, to provide them with registration so that they could come here. Some of them now come in and opening business. Yes, opening business. They're pooling their funds, their resources are opening business. And we have Trinidadians complaining, oh God, we can't get work. Oh God, we're suffering. I can't pay my bills. But people who come in here with nothing but the clothes on their back and a few pieces in a duffel bag, come in here, opening business in the same Trinidad and Tobago economy that all you say on the brink. The same Trinidad and Tobago economy that you say you can't get a job in. The Venezuelans come in here and opening business, whether it's food business, whether it's small grocery, a small parlor, whatever it is. They're not complaining about they getting work. You seen how many of them on the highway selling plantain chips? Sometimes you pass, they replenish the basket 2, 3, 4 times for the day, and who buying it? The same Chinese buying it. But we ain't want to do that. Nah, that work too lowly. I'm not interested in that. But you know what? The same money they're making from selling them plantain chips, if they have to put aside $100 a day or $200 a day, whatever it is they're making, because they know if 5 of us come together and everybody put aside X amount for the day, eventually we will save up enough that we could start our own small business and hire ourselves. And when we could bring our countrymen and hire them, rather than complaining, oh, we can't get no work. And Trinidad hard for all you. But for them, they know how to navigate. Right? Let me get this here. So as I said, if the UNC gets into power, they know under them, it ain't no Dragon gas. That dead under them. Once Maduro is the president of Venezuela and they in power here, he ain't want no dealings with them. And he will simply say, I remember you all supported Guaido as president and wanted me ousted. I remember you all writing to the National Assembly to tell them, do not support any Dragon gas deal signed between myself and Keith Rowley. I remember all of these things. I remember how you all were against my countrymen who were in your country, who needed help. The position that you took with respect to the Rowley administration, helping them. I remember the way you all vilified my vice president when she came to your country and during COVID, right? To discuss issues related to COVID and what could be done to ensure that Venezuelan citizens in your country are not left out in the lurch, that they can access certain things, because Venezuela had also offered, as Stuart Young had mentioned, test kits, so that their citizens we wouldn't say, well, here what now, you're not a Trini, so we can't use our precious test kits to help all here at the expense of Trinidad and Tobago citizens, to ensure that when vaccines come to Trinidad and Tobago, that the Venezuelan citizens could also access it. Right? When Delcy came here to discuss these things, because she understood they wanted to make sure that their citizens in Trinidad and Tobago are not left out into the lurch and having to suffer and become victims of COVID. But they want to tell you, oh, she come here to talk dragon gas. This same clown who I just played for you, this idiot played a clip from 2020, I think, when Stuart Young was talking about Delcy's visit and saying, oh, here, where Stuart Young say how she came here to discuss dragon gas. Well, I don't know, apparently his hearing different to everybody else, because I listened to that clip 3 times and nowhere in that did Stuart Young ever say Delcy Rodriguez came here and they discussed dragon gas. But you know, the supporters of that party running and say, yes, you see, Stuart Young does lie and Rowley does lie, but ask them pinpoint where exactly did Stuart Young say that. They can't tell you. But the Doglaya say so. The Doglaya say so, and therefore it's gospel because he say that. The same man who tell earlier, room 201 was PNM Photoshop, PNM voodoo. Yeah? And his leader come and tell earlier, I spoke with the minister and I am satisfied with what the explanation that he has given me, that he was not the man in the room. So the voice you think you heard wasn't his. The person you saw, it wasn't him, and it was PNM Photoshop and PNM voodoo. And she wanted to tell you she is ideal to become prime minister of this country again. When she could feed you that janjat and tell you, anyway, I get this thing here. Where is it going? So, understand, dragon gas must not happen under the PNM. Let me play something else for you. Let me get this here. Again, I crave your indulgence, as I keep telling you whenever I play this clown. Sigh. Let me get it. So, let me also say belated birthday greetings to Carol Buko. I saw Carol celebrated her birthday a couple of days ago. And by all accounts, it appears that it was well spent. So, birthday greetings to you, Carol. Where is it? Forgive me, but I had to play this man again. We cannot allow what happened with Sandals happen with Dragon. Otherwise, crap will smoke all your pipe. No, 1 second. This thing must connect. Where is it? Well, 1 second. You just bear with me for Let's try that again. Right. There we go.
Small opinion, you negotiated dragon gas, we could share the profits. This is great news in dark times. What exactly they signed? What money they could pay? What cash? How they paying? What they paying for? How they reimbursing Venezuela the billion US they spend on pipeline? The USA waiver that is nearly up. A few more months does not allow any cash payments. What we gonna do? Pay Maduro with pothole, with flood? What we gonna do? Pay them with criminal gang members with gun, an illegal gun? What exactly we signed that is so exciting that an Express editorial would give kudos for Stuart Small Opinion for all the work he has done to sign what with Venezuela? Like, hey, they have gas underneath the when the US we organize, and if we get money, and if we have money, and if we get US, and if they allow us to pay, and if we could get the cash out, and if we could give you a check, and if we negotiate to pay you back for whatever you invested, and if the sanctions ease, and if democracy returns, and if all of that happens, that we could share in the profits that will eventually come 5 years down the line, and the Express write an editorial to tell the PNM, well done, you're doing something good. That is grasping at straws, digging down to the bottom of the barrel. Is it nice that we could possibly in the future get access to gas? Yes, if we could get access to gas with Guyana, would be great. Suriname would be great. Venezuela would be great. To find oil and gas in our own deep water blocks would be great, like what Kevin Ramnarine did. Great negotiation, great tax incentive, great bid rounds, which nothing has happened under this PNM. But the Express find a fantasy to try and big up in their imagination the PNM. I'm asking the Express, what exactly they say? How the payments going to be made? The US authorized US, pounds, TT, Bolivares, what they did, what they signed, where it going, how you could share in profits that are non-existent. The last time I checked SCA, 0 divided by 0 equals 0. So Express exactly what editorial you're complimenting small print for. Let me know that. Because the dragon cannot dance, because the USA say you could pay Maduro. Maduro want money. What they sign? And when they didn't sign that, and it got 30 years that we agreed and negotiated and saying, hey, part piece of that is we own, let's work together, let's collaborate. You, Express, commending the PNM for collaborating on what already had been collaborated on before. Brilliant. Please let me know that, because I'm missing something. Because we want to celebrate. We need money. We need foreign exchange. We need investment. The energy sector has collapsed by the same Stuart Smallpit from 2017 negotiation in Houston. Point Lisas is down from 74% under Kamla 2014 capacity down to 18%. NGC made a loss for the first time in 2021, 22, 23. They now make a little profit. NGC does not have gas. Nikwan shutting down. Everybody is moving. No foreign direct investment. People rushing to Guyana and Suriname, and not to Trinidad and Tobago, but somehow the Express went digging in a quagmire of feces to find something to say Smallpin do good. What he did good, how we pay, where we pay, who we pay, what we sign, how much it is, where we pay, how much we reimbursing Venezuela for money sunk and invested already in any form of pipeline. What's the deal? What we celebrating? When we'll get revenue? How much the profit share is? Nothing. But Smallpin deserves kudos. Just like all your Republic PNM awards. Why didn't host that in the shell that is PNM Balize House? That I must take note has come to a complete grinding halt. Very good contractors, because all you who in receipt of government contracts, we come in, the government changing just now, we come in to ask all your where the bills, how much steel, how much concrete, how much all your body, and Calco, Kusal, you get national award when we come in to check how much donation went into Balize House, how much the General Council paid for. What about Earth Movers? What about Junior Sammy? I saw with my own eyes while my daughter playing tennis on Tranquility Court. These companies just dropping material. Are you all in receipt of government contracts? What's the value of those contracts over the last 8 years? What are these donations? How much donations? What is the value of Balize House? I see all your stuff. Don't get frightened. What you done do, and we come in to check it, and we go put the homeless inside it with Sukai air condition. The homeless will be comfortable in the heat. PNM, Republic Day Award. Hey, all your children, you want an award? Run Balize House and start a lick K-Packs. PNM. Boy, all you really are no shame, yes? Bless. Dragon Gas. Where the US? Where the money? Pass the cash now.
Yeah, the advice he given to children. Children, go down to Balize House and lick K-Packs. This is a senator, right? Telling children, hey, why don't you go down Balize House and lick K-Packs? And this man was an assistant coach for the national swim team. I wonder what it is he was telling these children when he was doing that. Those who he knows their parents to be supporters of the PNM. As you're telling them, go down to Balize House and lick K-Pax, right? That is a responsible thing. And the idiots that support that party and always want to talk about, oh, PNM supporters, we drinking Balize juice and we done some with that. That is what all they supported. For those of you listening here, all they like that, and yeah, that's what they like. We're supposed to be supporting that. And that is a potential future minister. He was Minister of Sport and Youth Affairs. That is the advice he given to the youth. Go to Balize House and lick K-Pax. But PNM people, we shipping. Yeah, we drinking Balize juice. But we don't support that kind of folly. We don't. But y'all heard what he said there, right? This was a video he did on the 26th of September. Before it was announced by the US that, one, that they were going to extend the license so that, whereas the 2-year period for that license was supposed to start in January of 2023, the government of the US pressed the reset button, and the 2 years started from the 31st of October. So we get a 10 months blind, a 10-month lining up to be able to do a lot of work, and much of the bulk work, as Dr. Rowley described it, it was like pushing a boulder up a hill, up a mountain. A lot of the bulk work that is required to be done to get this deal to fruition would have happened in those 10 months because the government was anxious to utilize the 2 years. You hear you talking about that, but how are you paying when the US say all they can't pay no cash? So that is why for the first 9 to 10 months of this year, you weren't really hearing them making any issue. They wasn't really talking about the Dragon Gas deal as they have been talking over the last 2-3 weeks, month or so, that they start to pile on the pressure. You know why? Because for the first 10 months, they're telling themselves, well, if the US say you can't pay Maduro in cash, well, that dead. That ain't going no way. Because where else they go pay Maduro in? Maduro not interested in that. He want money. And therefore, if it is he had to go to Russia and get Russia to come and develop that, because Russia couldn't care two hoots about US sanctions, he will do that. So don't worry, forget about that Dragon Gas dead in the water. We have to worry nothing. That's what they were thinking. And then when the announcement was made about a week or so after he made this video, that the US was now looking to relax sanctions on Venezuela, and they would allow Trinidad and Tobago to pay Venezuela in cash for their portion of the gas and so on. The dynamics changed. Two things changed that significantly improved the chances of the PNM making this a reality. One, the fact that they could pay, that sanctions were being lifted against Venezuela. And two, they could now pay in cash. So the two biggest hurdles that the Prime Minister mentioned that they had to face were now done away with. And the government moving at pace to make this thing happen. And they realized, oh Lord, boy, it's looking like this thing could happen, you know. We thought before it wasn't going to happen, but what America doing? What they doing? They're doing everything to make this happen. Prime Minister told us Churchill was doing shuttle work between Trinidad, Port of Spain, Washington, Caracas. Port of Spain, Washington, Caracas. You running all over, negotiating. All right, this is what we signed with Venezuela. What all you think about this? You all could work with this? No? Change this, change that? All right, let me run back by Maduro again. Right, this is what the US say. They say they can't support this, do that. All right. You come back to Port of Spain, you tell the cabinet, this is what the US said they want from Venezuela. Venezuela said they agree with that. We need to support it. What say you all? Right? All right, let me run back to the US now and tell them this is what the cabinet agreed and this is what Venezuela agreed. So eventually, the triangle going so, Stuart Chong running so, till eventually they get to something that is acceptable by all parties. UNC want to hear that at all. They thought that wouldn't happen. Or if it did happen, it would take about 10 years. They weren't expecting that to happen in 10 months. And now with a fresh 2 years handed to this administration, they realize, well, if they're moving at the same pace or an accelerated pace, it is quite likely that this thing by mid-2024, or possibly, we could be inside. And therefore, you're going to have all the captains of industry coming out now and praising Keith Rowley and his administration. All of them who silent and quiet now are not condemning the UNC for what it is they're doing. The minute we hear, well, all right, negotiations have been concluded. We've concluded our negotiations with whichever company, Shell or whoever, things are in place. Now it's for us to just start the process of building the infrastructure to make this thing happen. The minute that announcement is made, that is it there for the UNC. all hopes that they have for 2025 goes down the drain. All hopes, and they cannot allow that to happen. It must never reach to that stage. Because when it is that you have the praises now being heaped on the government of Trinidad and Tobago by the big hefes in the energy sector, the business sector, congratulating the government on this and expounding on the benefits that could be derived from that, well, it's all over for them. So they will do anything that they can now over the course of the next few months, leading up to 2025 to scuttle that. But the hypocrisy, and I always say, if hypocrisy was a party, it would be the UNC. Because they want to come now and talk about probity and transparency, and the public needs to know, because when you're dealing with public monies and the assets of the public, they must be kept abreast and in the loop. But when they were in office 2014, 2015, when they took the decision to give the lands at Invaders Bay to Movietong, to Dachin Enterprises, or whoever it is, the JCC, led by Afro Raymond at the time, I believe it was, filed a Freedom of Information request to get information from the Minister of Planning, who was then Botiwari, to get a copy of this legal opinion that was paid for with taxpayers' money. The legal opinion which the government at the time said this is what we relied on to make the decision as to who we given the lands at Invaders Bay. The JCC said we want to see this legal opinion. We want to know, since you say this legal opinion said this is the best person to give it to, and why we want access for the benefit of the country, since all you want to tell the country, non-disclosure agreement. Apparently, they only know about non-disclosure agreement between 2015 to 2023. But when it was happening 2010 to 2015, they didn't know about that. They didn't know about it then. They refused, right? They refused to give the information to the JCC. The JCC went to court to get the information, and the court said, give it to them. Still, Botiwari, in defiance of the court, possible contempt of court, are not given already the opinion, because quoting what? Attorney-client privilege. This is a document that is covered by privilege between the client, who is the government of Trinidad and Tobago, Ministry of Planning, and the senior counsel. So that is exempt. We don't have to give you that. And the court tell them, give it to them. They refused, even when the court say, tell the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, whose land it is, tell them what was the legal opinion that informed your decision to give the land to this person, and absolutely refused to give it. They said the citizens don't need to know. That's not their business. They just have to trust that the government is making the right decision, and we're not telling all you nothing. But this clown, Anal Roberts, he didn't know about transparency and probity then. No, they didn't know about the assets of the state and the assets of the citizens of the country, and the citizens have a right to know. And the supporters, the bleeding heart supporters, who today want to come and tell you about, we need to know about the non-disclosure agreement for property that doesn't belong to Trinidad and Tobago, for gas that is not ours. All you want to know, what is the agreement for gas that don't belong to all you, but land that belong to all you didn't want to know about that. You didn't want to know about that, right? Talking about $100 million US is to be spent to develop the infrastructure and so on. And Trinidad and Tobago spending $100 million US of taxpayers' dollars and whatnot, and we want to know what we're getting for it and all of that. 100 million US works out to about 680 million TT. They're concerned about that. But $789 million of housing supposedly built under them between 2010 to 2015 cannot be found. Cannot be found. And the supporters, they want to know nothing about that. But under them, less is more. Less is more for them. Remember that, under Kamlamatics. So 680 million TT to develop infrastructure, to bring natural gas here so that all 4 trains could be operated. And we could get precious foreign exchange, and we could boost the government's coffers so they could pave road, the same road all over them pave, and they could improve the hospital, the health system in the country, and improve the education system, and everything else that all you see ain't working, that they could get the precious dollars to fix everything that need to fix. Well, you have an issue with that. But 789 million in housing, brick and mortar, cannot be found. And it wasn't that Camille Robinson Regis made this declaration on a PNM platform. She didn't say that in a private PNM meeting. This is something that she brought to light in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, where the man who was the Minister of Housing at the time was sitting right opposite her. Right opposite. And he, who often wants to jump up as soon as he hear a name call, he always had to jump up and say something in defense. When Camille Robinson Regis made that declaration, to this date, Rudal Munilal has said absolutely nothing on that matter. He didn't seek to defend himself in the House, and on the many platforms that he has been in since then, since October, we're in December. Not at the waste of time Sunday morning press conference, the waste of time pavement report, Monday night report, whatever. All of the different platforms that he has been on since Camille Robinson Regis made that revelation. Rudal Munilal has not spoken to that issue at all. He has not come to deny it. He has not come to say, well, this is the explanation of what happened. Nothing. Kamla has said nothing on it. Jolene John, who was the head of HGC at that time, she has said nothing on it. The Doglaya has said nothing. Not one of them touched that issue. Not even to speak to it briefly for 2 seconds. None of them. Ask yourself why. Why are they avoiding that? Why are they avoiding that? Like the plague. It is out of character for Rudal Munilal to be accused of something. When they were accusing him at EMBD, he had plenty to say about that. So how come you ain't talking about this 789 million in missing housing, Munilal? But all you're concerned about 100 million US to develop infrastructure that will bring money to Trinidad and Tobago. And over 100 million US in housing can be found. People suffering for housing, all they love to say, who on the waiting list 30, 40 years, can't get a HGC house yet. And that 789 million supposed housing could have done a lot. Could have given housing to so many people who have been on waiting lists for so long. The supporters not interested in that. They ain't talking that, but they want to talk about AV drilling. Fake oil. They have every day you're hearing them, you're seeing them on social media talking about fake oil. But fake house, right? Almost 8 times the amount of money missing for fake house. They want to talk about that. All they could say on it. But that happened since 2013, and all they now coming to talk about that 10 years later. It's propaganda, all they feel they're smart, all they is a smoke screen. That's all their supporters have to say about that. There's a smoke screen that the PNM only now coming to talk about that, to deflect from other things that are happening in the country. But they're not concerned about 789 million, but always concerned about public money when the PNM involved. But put them back in 2025. Put that back. A party that cannot explain to you where these houses, not even one unit, they can't tell you where it could be found. Munilal have plenty to say about terrestrial lands, which he told us, I don't know how much houses ready for occupation there in 2015. And when the media went, all they found was a load of sand, a load of gravel, and tobacco. That's all they found. Like they were building houses, as I always say, they were building house for ants, not for human habitation. They were building ants' house. So maybe the media forgot to dig up and look under the ground to see the ants colony where they were building houses for 1,200 ants, not 1,200 human beings. He has plenty to say about that. And that issue came up after Camille Robinson Regis made her revelation. And to date, the supporters wouldn't call on them to speak on that issue. Wouldn't call on them to talk about that at all. You know why? Because it's party before country. But all you always quick to attack this government. Quick to attack this government. 789 million of your taxpayers' dollars gone just so. Poof! Just like the 34 million they give Adolphus Daniel. Just like the 123 extra million they spent for Eden Gardens that was valued at 52 million. Well, you ain't had nothing to say about that. You ain't concerned about that money. Nah, that's all right. Right? So when you add up all of those, close to $1 billion gone, just so. Well, you ain't concerned, but you're not interested in that. But 100 million AV, yeah, that we want to talk about that every day. Every day you want to talk about it. But I was making the point coming back to the video I just played with Enal Roberts there. Notice, as I said, that was September 26th, right? All the things that he mentioned there, which is what they would have sat down and studied as would have prevented the Dragon Gas deal from going anyway. Now that all those issues have been resolved, they realize they're in problems. And so now they come and they're bearing down like a ton of bricks to try and scuttle this thing any way they could. And they realize the only way they could do it is to get the public on their side like they did with Sandals and talk about probity and transparency. And why the public needs to know what they sign and how they sign and what we're spending and all of that. They need to know all these things. And unless that is made known, the deal mustn't go through, right? So you want to dictate Venezuela pace. And this is the same problem when Dr. Rowley went early on in his tenure as Prime Minister, when he went to the UK, and he sat down with Shell and BG and whoever else and negotiated and told these companies, look, you see those concessions the UNC gave only between 2010 to 2015, where you only had to pay tax until 2024, that can't work. You all cannot be extracting our natural resources, selling it, making money, and we getting nothing, just so that we could encourage you all to come and hope that by the time 2024 roll around, it still have enough oil and it still have enough gas that we could start to get some money, right? So we have no control. We're still in 2023. So for the last 8 years, we would have gotten nothing. And the government went and said, here what? That could never be fair to the citizens of this country. We don't care what arrangement UNC make with Twale as to encourage you all to come and invest. That not making sense to us. Because if come 2024, it ain't oil and gas, we have nothing to get. Only take our oil and gas and sell it, make all your money, make back whatever you all spent on your investment, and the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago get nothing. That cannot work. So you all owe us a little something. We need to renegotiate. We want a 12.5% royalty and so on. And these companies agreed to give Trinidad and Tobago back some money. I think in the first instance, it was some $3 billion or whatever. And they did it on the condition, with the caveat, you cannot disclose this thing publicly. The energy company said so. We're willing to give Ole back some money. Can we hear what you say? It makes sense, right? We can't be benefiting and the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago are not. We will give Ole back some money. But understand, Trinidad and Tobago is not the only country that we have exploration activities going on. And if we give Ole this concession and you all make it public, we will find ourselves in a situation where the other countries will come to say, well, since all you get Trinidad and Tobago this, we want to renegotiate too. And we want to get back something too. Because you all did it for Trinidad, do it for us. The company said, we don't want that headache. All right? So we are agreeing to give Ole, but oh gosh, keep it quiet now. What did the UNC do? Run to the parliament and put question. And they want to know. And what was the arrangement made between the government of Trinidad and Tobago and these energy companies and so on. The government compelled to disclose. What happened? The energy companies wrote to the Prime Minister expressing their absolute disappointment with how that, because we told you all, we hear your argument, we hear what you're saying, but are we willing to concede? But we just asking all you, please, keep it on the down low, because it could affect our operations in other countries, other parts of the world. Here what all you see what they come and do? The very same thing. And now they put us in problems. So we now have to go and renegotiate with people who are asking questions and who want to know. Why? They didn't write to Kamla Prasad Bisesa to complain, you know. They didn't write to Kamla and say we are disappointed in what you all did. They write to the Prime Minister to say they're disappointed in him and his government for not honoring the agreement that they had, that they would keep it under wraps. This is the extent to which these people will go to get back into power, even if it means damaging the relationships with all of these energy companies whose capital we need. We need their capital. The government of Trinidad and Tobago does not have the money to be able to develop that project on its own. So we need Shell money, or we need BG money, or whoever has BP money, or whoever money. I think Shell is the main one that they're working with. We need them to bring their money and invest it there to benefit us. But when you have people like the UNC, remember, we still have to negotiate with Shell. And if Shell saying, well, look, you see what happening there? We don't want to take the chance that we come to Trinidad. We sign an agreement with the current administration, and we're going to do this, that, the other, and the next. And we commit funds to this. And we start the process, and then we come to Trinidad, and there's a change of government in 2025. And this new government say they're not honoring anything that the last administration signed. They have a bad relationship with Nicolas Maduro. And because no gas ain't draw yet, we're now in the stage of implementing the infrastructure. But we ain't start to pump the gas yet. Maduro say, hey, hold up. I don't want no dealings with them. Right? They are the new government. You see all that pipeline, all that building, they dismantle that and go with it. Take it and go. Me, I forget it. I will get somebody else. We will establish the infrastructure. We've waited all these years without benefiting from the gas. We could wait 5 more years. Or we could wait 10 more years. And we will build the infrastructure in Venezuela. and we will bring our gas on our side, right? And we will do what we had to do. We ain't want no dealings with that. Them people there who say that I should not be the president. Them people who supporting Guaido, I don't want nothing to do with it. So all these are things Shell now have to study. Well, boy, based on what we hear in the UNC saying, they're against this thing. And with 2 years, less than 2 years to go to a general election, do we want to take that chance? Do we really want to take that chance to invest money and then they come in and stop the project, as they did with the smelter? We saw the Chinese committed the capital, started the process, prepared the ground, started to build the facility, set up things in place, contract done, sign and everything with the Manning administration. They set up TGU, workout gas deal, electricity arrangements put in place. So the electricity that would have been generated by TGU would have gone to the aluminum smelter plant and so on. Take or pay. All of these different things was already in place, right? So the belief that if it is this administration starts the process, and therefore if they lose election in 2025 and the UNC come in, they would have no choice but to continue the project. No, my friends, we have the smelter as ample example that they would be willing to stop a project midstream, shut it down, and result in now the company, the Chinese company that had invested the capital into this project, want to now sue the government of Trinidad and Tobago for hundreds of millions of US dollars, which we don't have. Because another administration came in and stopped the project, for which they had invested millions, they were back the money and they want interest too. So don't believe for 1 second that the project start and you all put God out of your thoughts and let them come back into office in 2025, that the project will continue, right? Because they have to deal with the government of Venezuela, and the relationship between the government of Venezuela today and the likely government of Venezuela in 2025 at the UNC is sour. And they continue on a daily basis to antagonize. So we don't know what the outcome, most likely what the outcome will be after this referendum. I bet you bottom dollar, the UNC, whatever happens, they're going to be prosecuting that. They talk about it in the past. Well, we have to wait and see while Lyda was on his feet and Roberts handing him the phone. Look, hot off the press, read that. The ICJ, the International Criminal Court of Justice, look, they now hand down a judgment here in favor of Guyana. Read that. And look at the implications that could have on the Dragon gas deal and all of that. They're proud, they're happy with that. To trumpet that. Look, you see? Yes, same thing we tell them, look. And they call themselves patriots. The government in waiting. Government in waiting. Don't want the Dragon gas deal. They did precious little to nothing between 2010 to 2015 to advance that. And their solution, their programs, and their policies, according to their manifesto, to boost the economy of Trinidad and Tobago is to cut corporate tax in half, from 35% to 18%. So whereas Republic Bank declared $1.75 billion in after-tax profits, you know how much they paid when you look at their financials? Over $600 million Republic Bank paid in taxes to the government of Trinidad and Tobago for the operations for the last financial year. Was almost $700 million in taxes. Kamala saying, put me back in office and I will cut that in half. So instead of all you're getting 660 something million, you'll get 300 and something. And the bank will get to keep the extra 330 something million. But Rowley want to make the rich richer. Rowley in the back pocket are the 1%. Yeah? Is Rowley want to do that? Rowley is the one who say, nah, all you're making too much profit by digging out the eyes of the average citizen. So you know what? Instead of 25%, are taking 35 and all their backside. Kamala say, no, that's too high. Rowley wicked to the 1%. You wicked to the banks. The banks who couldn't care that they're charging your service fee of $15 to $20 a month, but you only have $10 in your account. They take in their service fee, put your account in overdraft and charge you $34.50 extra. And wherever money come into your account, they make sure they take out what you owe in them first. And Dr. Rowley say, you see that? Since we can't tell all you what rates to charge for your service fees, when all they dig out the eye of the public, we will give it back to them in taxes. Kamala say, no, 35 too high, 30 too high, 25 too high, 20 too high, 18. That's what we're talking about. That making sense. And when we do that, the extra money that the bank make, the 330 something extra that they would have put in the coffers of the of the state, they could keep that and they will use it to expand their business. No, that goes into the bank accounts of the shareholders for them to invest in stocks and believe in the bank and invest outside and buy another boat and buy a house on the islands. That's what it's going to be used for, not to expand the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. So somebody watching a little bit too much Fox News. So let Prasad be know that. But ask them what else they plan to do. How do they want to fix the shortage of US? Make US more expensive. So we will put a damper on demand. Because right now at $6.79, people still are able to afford to buy US. But if it is that we do away with this dirty float, we decide we're going to undo what the PNM doing now, which is use the country's foreign reserves to prop up that 6.79 rate. We will preserve the country's foreign reserves, right? And allow market forces to decide the cost of a US dollar. And we will allow the exchange rate to slide to the point where demand equals supply. So when it reached $10, the amount that the average citizen could afford would be less. So whereas under the PNM, you could have afforded to buy 5,000 US, under the UNC, you'll be able to only afford 1,000 US or 2,000. That's all you could afford to demand, and therefore that will cut demand, and that to them making sense, right? But the people who import in foreign goods, when they have to pay more for the US dollar now to bring in these foreign goods, what are they going to do? That aspect of economics, the UNC supporters know. Yeah, well, the price of everything going to go up. The price of everything going to, yes, that is what is going to happen. Because the importer is going to pass the cost onto you, the average citizen. So if we're letting the cost of living high now, put them back into power in 2025. Let them allow the exchange rate to slide to $10 for one. And let's see what's going to happen. The cost of living going to go down. All who want to say, and then I heard Mr. Warner said recently, he challenges any person of African descent to say that under the PP between 2010 to 2015, the black man wasn't faring better. So not a black man in this country could say that they wasn't faring better under the People's Partnership, as opposed to now. Really, Mr. Warner? You know, sometimes Mr. Warner makes it very difficult for me to maintain the little bit of respect I still have for him, right? Because I want to ask him, the 7,000 plus African youths that they lock up under the state of emergency, they fared better between 2010 to 2015? How many of them still alive today, Mr. Warner? How many of them? How many of them lost their work as a result of getting locked up? And when they were released finally, because they couldn't find a job because of what had happened, they turned their life a crime, Mr. Warner. How many of them? Right? How many of them put on man and pick up gun as a result of being incarcerated and losing their legitimate job because of that? How many of them were stigmatized because of that? Locked up wrongly because our Attorney General say lock them up and we're going to find the evidence later. How many of them? They fared better, Mr. Warner? The Colony Orange people who went to Hilton and were told hands up, out, down, and were met with a heavily armed contingent of riot police. They fared better, Mr. Warner, $69 a day for 3 months. And after the 3 months ended and the project was ended, well, hard luck. Well, I just had a whole stream until we come up with something else. They fared better, Mr. Warner? What about the thousands of, well, hundreds or the thousands of young men under life sport who were supposed to be the main beneficiaries of that 400 million, Mr. Warner? What about them? Did they fare better? What about the persons who lost out when CCC was shut down and when the youth camps were shut down? The persons who would have been able to get a skill set from these two organizations to be able to work for themselves, to be able to gain a skill, to become more employable. When those two entities were shut down between 2010 to 2015, Mr. Warner, I want to ask you, did those young people fare better? Did they fare better than the 825 young people who graduated from the last cycle of CCC? And before that, the 700 and something that graduated from that cycle? Did those between 2010 to 2015 who didn't have those opportunities fare better than those who now today have these opportunities? Where is the UNC equivalent of the Homestead program? Where is it? All the young people who have benefited from this homestead program, who will be getting land and house and money to start a business and an education in agriculture. You're saying that black people fared better between 2010 to 2015. It was only black people fared better, Mr. Warner. Which black people fared better? Tell me now. When the UNC increased after they maligned CPEP, when it was established by the Manning administration 2006, 2007, they called it a loveless thing, the intergenerational transfer of poverty. And they came in 2010 and increased it from 5,000 to 15,000. Did those people fare better, Mr. Warner? How many of them are still trapped in that cycle today, Mr. Warner? Still working CPEP. CPEP was never meant to be a career, but many of them have turned it into a career. Thanks to who? All the people who was getting baby grant, $500 a month to make child and went and make children so they could get $500 a month and so they can't mind the children, Mr. Warner. Did they fare better? I'm just asking that question. But you would say, come on a platform and say, you challenge any African in this country to say that they weren't faring better under the UNC. How? How? Let me read one more thing for you. All who like to say the bank don't like to lend black people money to start business. What did I say? No, these are the little things that we tend to miss. Where is it? So I'm not finding this here. No, that's not it. Where is it? Why am I not finding this thing? There was an article I saved the Republic Bank. Right. Here it is. Valerie is saying she cries every day for the amount of missed opportunities Trinbago had in place just before 2010. We're now 5 years behind and still playing catch up, but the PNM laying the groundwork. Hope people, why isn't this thing opening? Oh boy, just let me see if it will open on this one. Just wanted to read that. All the abuse, use and abuse Mr. Warner, this man still holding faith to these people, no? But each his own, yes? He alone know what it is they promise him if they get back into office. Right. Says here, local bank getting behind SMEs. Mikhail Haynes is a shining example that dreams along with hard work and dedication do in fact come true. Haynes is the founder and CEO of Golden Roots Limited, an e-commerce operation which exports herbs and spices naturally grown in Trinidad. And these are sold in powder, flakes, and dehydrated form. The company continues to have a strong international presence in the US and the UK, with its sights set to enter other markets such as Europe. However, the journey of success has not been easy. Haynes shared some insights with the Sunday Business Guardian during the inaugural SME Marketplace hosted by Republic Bank Limited on Thursday. He said the biggest challenge was getting financing. I would have been into freeze drying long before, but the machine was expensive, which was close to $40,000. He praised Republic Bank for helping him scale up his business. The bank helped us to get our machinery, and they are even there to support us to get future machinery to carry the business to another level. Golden Roots, which is homegrown and was registered in 2019, currently markets its products on platforms such as Amazon, eBay, Walmart, and mytrinishop.com. And as orders come through our website, we ship from Brooklyn to any other country. Our most popular products are sorrel, pimento, scorpion pepper, and charubeni. And in the freeze-dry form, we sell dasheen bush, even though in Brooklyn a lot of people can't get fresh charubeni. There are certain places which do not, like Texas and Pennsylvania, so we tapped into those areas. We also have pepper sauce that is dry, so when you put water into the package, it will rehydrate back into pepper sauce. He is currently working to have his products sold in local supermarkets, and he also plans to obtain a larger space to expand his offerings. Organic with a Purpose is another example of a small business that has benefited from Republic Bank. Specializing in skincare items and unique candles, owner Balraj Basdio said the company is family operated also by his wife and daughter. He also echoed sentiments similar to Haynes that getting the necessary money to start a small business has been one of the biggest hurdles to overcome. Another challenge he added was having the forex to import raw materials, which the bank has also provided to assist the company. And he added that the bank also provided valuable insight into the world of business. The bank teaches you how to go about dynamics of a small business, which is also important. For instance, the RBL SME Toolkit is a comprehensive resource for small and micro enterprise business owners who need and want tips, information on business trends, real-time case studies, and overall guidance which help them to develop their business. Golden Roots Limited and Organic with a Purpose are just two of the many small businesses that continue to contribute to TNT's economy. Michelle Johnson, Marketing Manager, Small and Micro Enterprise Business Segments at RBL, said the SME Marketplace Initiative was the first of many planned initiatives by the bank, specifically focused on bringing awareness to and supporting the growth of small businesses. Over the last year, our efforts to rally behind SMEs have expanded significantly because we believe in you and your potential. And we know that with the right support, you can be the drivers of innovation and contribute to economic sustainability here in TNT. For instance, in July, the bank launched its new microloan package aimed at improving access to finance for medium, small, and micro enterprise businesses with relaxed qualifying criteria for loans of up to $100,000. We also believe in bolstering the export readiness of SMEs, and because of this, we recently renewed our Memorandum of Understanding with Caribbean Export Development Agency to continue our shared goal to build the export capacity of businesses. In terms of business capacity, at the recently concluded Caribbean Association of Bankers Conference, RBL hosted its SME Training Forum and Marketplace, where participating SMEs explored strategies to bolster business growth and resilience in keeping with the theme, nurturing a big business mindset for your small business success. So, let me see. So the article is a bit lengthy, but I thought I would mention that for a specific reason that all who love to say that it's the government's responsibility to promote diversification, and it's the government and the government. This is an example of a private sector entity stepping up to the plate to provide not just capital, but also the technical expertise and support and wherewithal for businesses to develop. So when you're talking diversification and the government must do this, no. I always say the private sector has a role to play. And Republic Bank is taking the lead in providing loans to these small businesses, but not just the loans, that you will now have the technical support. You're getting training and support. The government, the bank is even working with an export entity for those businesses that want to get into foreign markets to sell their products to the foreign markets. The bank is investing in that too. So it's not just a come and you sign papers and you get your loan and look your money, you go and do what you want. You need further support. You want to export to the US, to the UK, and wherever, come. We're giving you that training too. You want to be able to develop your business, and in a certain area, you need guidelines, you need tips, come. We have that too. Because we realize this is how we're going to diversify the economy, by building the small and medium enterprise industry. Not the government. The government has things in place too through FCB. They have a loan facility through FCB too, but we need the other banks and the other members of the private sector to step up to the plate. I see Ansa Makal is now getting on board. Things that they should have done all the time, because they realize they have products to sell. And if it is that they assist the small and medium enterprises and they build that segment of the economy, persons who have business ideas but just don't have the wherewithal, the technical and the capital wherewithal to build their business, to start their business. It mustn't be that I could only go to one place. You have FCB now, you have Republic and Samakal and whoever else will come on board as well, so that we could build out that segment of the economy. Right now, the government's coffers is dependent mainly on the non-oil sector. The non-oil sector is who's contributing the majority of money to the state's coffers every year. And what this is showing is all we talk about is the government and trying to blame the government for diversification. No. Kudos to Republic, kudos to Ansa Makal, and to the other companies that will come on board and do like-minded things. Kudos to all of you all as well on our job well done. It's 1 o'clock. There's plenty more I could say. because I was away for a whole week, but we will deal with that next week. So 7701763. See here. Right.
Jerusalem, Itayalami,
Jenny.
Hi, good afternoon, Dominic.
Hi.
Good afternoon. Also, lockdown to access stubborn things, and we happy to get. I don't know what people are happy you're back, because
Thank
you
you.
see this stuff. I tell you, we in here, we in our nothing to the watchmen, so we are very important along with the other talk show hosts and presenters who would bring the facts. So you're a very important part of that machinery. And all those who on Facebook, Ms. Diane Judith, and so many others who keeping the fight alive.
Yes.
And I am on social media. Everybody, we have come together informally and we are putting the information out there, and that is what it is needed in this time. I also go on to say that we have a saying, and when they go low, we take that from I think Michelle Obama.
Yes.
When they go low, we go high. I think that it has to be revisited because there has to be some who, when they go low, we go even lower. Because sometimes that's the only language some of them understand.
Yes.
I'm not saying everybody need to do that, but all of we can't be, we can't live white and no. When they answer, yeah, we have to be changed and answer them back to suit some of us, not everybody. And others, because in a war, I always say there are different strategies.
Jen, call me back. I don't know what happened. Hello, good morning. Good afternoon, sorry. Hi.
You know something? UNC. They love us. They love the people that they're defending. They love us. They love the people that they're defending. You want to heal, right? Who will suffer? You want to raise the US dollar. Who will suffer? So USA supporters, do you stop and think? Do you stop to listen what's being said? Or you're so racist and hateful? Your nation is yellow. Your flag is yellow. What is that about? You have children to grow up in this nation. The Dragon Deal will help us in the future, will help your children, better roads, education, health, all the infrastructure we need in this land. And Robert, what's wrong with you? You are a senator of what? Filth? You are a classless, crass, loader and a rat backside. How can anybody listen to you on a daily basis? Kamala, rein your animal in. Rein that canine swine in. Because my friend Candace, she asked who's Robert. I said, who? Who's a bald head man with no class? You cannot be in Senate and behave like a war fool. You are a war frat with no class. No, I tell you now, you see my mouth? They have no cover. Dominic, I like you know. But I'm going to start drinking rum and to get myself deaf when you play that excuse for humor. Don, I bless you. I bless you.
What is going on with this thing this morning? Ah, boy. I don't know what is happening with this thing today. So, Jenny.
Yeah, what happened?
I have no idea what's going on this morning.
But anyway, I hope you heard of last majority of everybody else. So I'm just ending again by simply saying we have our work to do, all of us, both on social media, both on research shows, to spread the truth. Because the UNC is not going to start spreading the truth first. And me, as I say again, when they go low, we go high kind of thing. I have to visit that.
Yes.
Jobs are off, I will not be disrespectful, but I am saying that to see it. And there are some may not be comfortable with doing that, that's okay. But whatever way you can help to put the truth out there so that citizens will be able to make informed decisions 2025 within the law, you will do it. Because the US is not going to stop spreading the lies and propaganda. If you're hoping one more you get the pandemic change, no. Don't be holding on to that. They know exactly what they're doing. They are continuing from Cambridge Analytica. And they will do that and run it until they think they get success. So we need to know how to use that. Because in a battle, it's not only enemy and yourself. And then you win all the battles. When I mean anyone physically, but anybody opposed to you. We have to shoot on our side, and that is what we have to use as our weapon of choice. So the next have a blessed Sunday, everybody. Blessed week ahead.
Thank you, Jen. Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Dominic, how are you?
I am good, man.
Dominic, I am so sick and tired of people saying that this place is suffering. But come every month, then you have all the malls and them full. All the nightclubs and them full. Hello, you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, all the nightclubs and them full. All the supermarkets, Price Smart, Massy stores, even what you say, extra food, full. You can't even get a parking space. So how the country is suffering?
Yep.
And another thing too, I noticed that the opposition want to put us in this fracas between Guyana and Venezuela. Cockroach have no business and foul business. Right?
Yes.
And if people don't understand how geopolitics work, they should stay out of that. Right? There will come a time when this authority will make a statement, perhaps on behalf of CARICOM, on the situation going on between Guyana and Venezuela. Do you agree with me, Dominic?
Yep.
Hello?
Yes, caller, here.
Right. Because this is not the first time it has certain issues with Venezuela, right?
Yes.
I remember the so-called border dispute with Colombia. You remember that thing some years back?
Yeah.
Also, let's go back to history. Right? And it has certain countries who feel that certain territories feel that they're own. Remember the Falkland Islands in Argentina?
Yes.
Right, thank you. You remember the situation where Iraq invaded Kuwait? Right. Remember the situation where the American wanted to get rid of Noriega in Panama because the Panama Canal was very important? Right. And then you have the recent thing with Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah.
Right? So we are trying to do this very carefully, because we also look at what's going on with China and Taiwan. So you have a good day, Dominic.
You too, sir. Thank you. Seven 770-1763. Val says, I want the Mukidi look good come in contact with my skin. See, we have here. Angela says, remember he's being sued. FIFA wants their millions and that center of excellence. So true. Val says she's waiting. Who is this? I'm waiting for your friend Lever there to call about the Dragon gas deal and Venezuelans vote today on the referendum on whether they should go ahead and fight Guyana for territory and oil. Yes. Roxanne says Starbucks is every day. That is so true. Starbucks just opened another branch in St. Augustine along with another branch of Super Farm opposite St. Augustine Private Hospital. But the economy is suffering. Economy on the brink. Nothing good happening. There's only sufferation according to them. Put us back in office and everything will be okay. See if I get this in. I'm now seeing another car dealership, GWM, just opened in Trinidad. In Aramas there, I think just before the gas station on the highway, where you have Royal Castle is there. There used to be another car dealership there some years ago, which was I believe part of Southern Sales. Well, they now have GWM, which is a new dealership open there because there's a market for cars. Brand new cars are being purchased. Yeah, but the economy is suffering. Nothing happening in Trinidad and Tobago. Articles you're seeing in the newspaper, CNC 3-4 hours ago. Marian Ramlal's transition, turning her passion into a career after a job crisis. And there's another one with a young lady, 23 years old, who just started a candle. UWI student builds business from candles. Intrigued by chemicals fusing together and forming something remarkable, Rebecca Subrath took this knowledge and started her own unique candle making business. And she too is exporting her candles to other areas, not just regionally, but internationally as well. But it have no opportunity in Trinidad. Unless the government steps in, you can't open a business. Unless the government steps in and assists, nothing can happen in the country. And hello, good afternoon.
Dominic,
yes,
I have to call back again. The so-called expatriate in this country, the Venezuela thing.
Yes.
Like the one who was seeing the teacher, the crystal ball.
Yes, psychic.
Who the government. I noticed that they're very silent of this situation between Guyana and Venezuela. Why is that?
Good question.
But you know, when it has to do issue, for Venezuelans, they are in the forefront.
Oh, yes.
But now this bacchanal between Guyana and Venezuela, they're very quiet, including the so-called blogger they call Mr. Escalante.
Yeah.
You know who that is, right?
Yes.
I think he made a comment and said that at one time Venezuela should take Trinidad because Trinidad belongs to Venezuela.
I'm not surprised.
But they're very, very quiet. And also very quiet too with the so-called thing and that's about human trafficking. I still waiting on a statement from Premier Sina. You ever got it?
You too. That statement is not going to be forthcoming anytime soon. Because you know what? It doesn't implicate. Anyway. Let's see what we have here. Let's see. While saying that land come like what's going on in Palestine right now, the Brits gave away something that didn't belong to them. That land was originally Venezuelan territory. See. Brian. Hello? Brian.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hey, good afternoon, sir.
Greetings.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I know you ran a bit because I earlier this week, last week, I should say, I saw the snow coming down in New York. And I know that hit you. Just on another aside, two asides, I should say. I want like that Miami International Airport.
Yes.
Sometimes I got lost in there once, took the elevator. Saw a road and I was told no, I'm on the wrong road. Take the elevator and go up and I should get my transportation there.
Right.
I can't understand that place. And then I had to run from one end to the next, literally run to book another flight from there to JFK. And, oh, Lord. That place is it's big, it's large.
Too big. Too big.
It's huge, as I say.
Yeah, Piarco Airport
And
is like a
easily
hangar.
miss a flight or a booking if you're not sure. And
Correct.
And then people talking in Spanish. For me, they're talking in American and in Spanish, and yeah. Oh God, it's crazy if you don't know. And another side is the guy who put his knee on George Floyd's neck. George? I remember which one.
George Floyd. Derek.
He was stabbed 22 times in prison.
Serious, Derek Chauvin.
But he's still alive. I understand. I don't know.
Oh.
But that was about 3 or 4 days ago.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know whether or not he has succumbed to it. He's still alive. But when he was stabbed, he was taken to hospital. That's the most I got so far. I'm still trying to find out exactly what is the position with him.
Right.
Just an aside, really. Dominic.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you this. And this is for people, who are on the fence and unbiased and willing to listen. Not just to hear, but to listen.
Right.
There are things happening in Trinidad, but especially Trinidad. I ain't sure about Tobago. Let me be honest, because I haven't been there, and I will not be going there for quite some time. But in Trinidad, Dominic, Trinidad business is growing. The Persads who own Persad the Food King, as I told you some time back, they also own a company called Bright Ideas.
Right.
They are also expanding, Dominic. They're going to open another branch in La Romaine coming soon. Pennywise is expanding, Dominic.
Correct.
Prestige Holdings, Dominic, showing profits more than the year before. The banks, their profits never change really. It just gets larger and larger and larger, regardless.
Yes.
So for people to be coming, I don't know what extra foods, I don't know. People say that people are shopping in the groceries? Really? Well, let me tell you something right now. You can't get a park on a weekend now in C Street down in South.
Yes. Don't
talk about Gull City. You have a park on the outside. Or better yet, park up your car in San Juan and not take a taxi down, go down to Gull City.
Yeah.
Easier to walk in than to look for a park. Right? I don't talk about other places. I have seen there's traffic jam in certain places, Dominic. The supermarket I go to, lines already. I know people in South get back pay too. Well, I guess some of them would have.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So money, as a matter of fact, Dr. Marlene Atz was cautioning people about when they get their extra money to save some of it. She was on news up till last night talking about that because she's seeing the spending.
Right.
But to say that things are not happening, I asked myself, I want to ask you, Dominic, between 2010 and 2015, was any back pay at all paid to anybody in Trinidad and Tobago?
Not that I'm aware of.
Or just a signature and the back payment was left for another government in 2016 to find the money, the $6 million. Huh? People have to look at these things, Dominic, and you see this dragon deal, it is bothering the UNC. It is really bothering. They find it going too fast. The Prime Minister is already off to London to sign the share contract with Shell and BP with respect to Atlantic LNG. He and the man, why does this man happen? This man, private boy, calling him small pin all the time. Is that jealousy he has or something or what?
I think so.
Something you want? I can't understand it. I mean, you're using sexual connotations to describe a minister at any turn. Tight pants, small pin. What is it about this fella? that have him so bothered about people and the personality. Something bothering him, and we had to find out what it is. And one of these days, every time I ask him, I go say, excuse me, you have a problem with certain people. Have you seen something that we haven't seen? And it's bothering you? You having sleepless nights? The renting space in your head? Outside of the alcohol? Dominic, this country is growing and it's bothering them. That is why they want this prime minister to go here and do go there and go there and do go here. And all they can stand up on is crime. That is all they can stand up on. There is nothing else that they could say, well, oh good, well here, this is what's going on. The word corruption is not even in the vocabulary for years now, Dominic. Correct. About this government. Yes, I have not heard that word being uttered out of their mouths. They can't use the word. You understand? They can't point at any minister. Yes? Or any chairman of any board that they could say, but hey, he should be looked at carefully. It is bothering them. And and what they're dependent on, Dominic, that a war starts off between Venezuela and Guyana and America. And America put sanctions again back on Venezuela. That is what they are dependent on. Yes. And they're asking the Prime Minister to comment because they want to use his words against him. But he's been very, very quiet. All he says that we are a CARICOM, we are our peace, and we don't want any war to start. We are about diplomacy. We can sit down and we can talk. And that's all he has said. We support Guyana as our CARICOM sister. Yes. And that is the end of that. But they want more. They want the Honorable Minister of Energy to talk about what is going on with the deal. And they know better. They know those things cannot be discussed. They know they have non-disclosure agreements. They know what that can do. But you see, they want to talk about something. But they will find another way to do it, They will do the same thing as you rightly said earlier, what they did with Sandals. Yes. That's why Tobago is where Tobago is today. Because they have thrown away $80 million a year, plus employment, plus agricultural business. They have thrown it away. And now Augustine begging for the little extras that maybe he could find, digging, looking for it. Because apparently it might affect his travels and so on. But Dominic, this country is going very, very well. The government is moving post-haste to get certain things done. Yes. As a matter of fact, McDermott has recently been given a contract by Shell to complete the infrastructure for the work from the Shell, the Hibiscus platform down to Atlantic LNG and so on. So that the gas deals and so on, once the final signing is done, that they can actually get going. Right. You understand? So McDermott, an international firm that does these sort of things, has already been given the contract to complete all of the infrastructure work. And that is very, very good for us. So they're not wasting time. Yes. Every single day you're here, almost every week or every month you're hearing something new as it pertains to what is happening with the Dragon deal as well as the Manatee issue and so on. And we are hoping against hope that all works out well with the Essequibo issue, one way or another. But at the end of the day, and another thing too that we have to be very concerned about too is the elections that are supposed to happen in Venezuela. Right. We don't know what Maduro is thinking really, although I have a kind of idea. But we hope that also bears fruit and everything goes well for people that will return to the benefit of Trinidad and Tobago and especially our downstream industry that needs this gas in order to increase their throughput so that we can be able to sell more methanol, especially
Brian, you there?
a whisper on something which I may talk about, or maybe I'll allow the minister to talk about it, maybe whenever he has concrete more information. And also, I don't know if you heard what Commissioner Lynch had to say prior to handing over the document of this report to the President of Trinidad and Tobago, Her Excellency.
No, I didn't.
But I think you should listen to it if you have not as yet, because I know you will want to comment on it as I do. It is very, very important that we take a listen to what he has to say.
Right.
But all I will say about him is that he living in England. He ain't living in Trinidad and Tobago. So all these suggestions that he making, while it may work in good old England, of people who are anti-PNM and anti this government have put a different type of spin on it.
Right.
And he's not going to like that spin. While what he's saying is laudable to a certain extent. Yes?
Yes.
It ain't going to work in Trinidad. And then some of the things he has said by being condescending and talking down to people because he just doesn't have any cocoa in the sun, I think it wasn't appreciated. But
right.
that's for another day whenever you speak about it. Because I'm almost certain when you get it and you go over it, you will want to make a comment on what he said.
For sure.
But outside of all of that, Arnold Roberts has Trinidad and Tobago has to know, if you all want him to represent you all in the parliament, that is all your business. And as far as I'm concerned, he's supposed to be behind bars. Yes?
Yes.
And that is a problem. I think that Commissioner Lynch, in one of his comments, which I agreed with, that he spoke about, that we have casual standards and not compulsory standards. In other words, anything goes. And people could get away with it, apparently, with anything. Once you have money in this country, you could get away with it, apparently. And we should err on the side of the law as far as certain things are concerned in here.
Right.
And people are supposed to do their jobs to ensure that the right people don't get away with it. Because as I said earlier, again, just to repeat what you said, $789 million and not a word from anybody, and no, where is the follow-up? What is happening with the propaganda issue recording in Tobago? Nothing at all. We're not hearing anything. And we need to know, because certain people are supposed to be behind bars. I don't care whether they're from Prime Minister to Papa. It doesn't matter. But some people apparently has the ears or the pockets of others, it would appear. And therefore, we have to wait and see. But there's lots more to discuss, Dominic, even during this Yuletide season.
Yes.
And we wait to hear you. Welcome back once again, and good to hear from you. Hope to hear from you again on Tuesday, my friend.
Indeed.
Take it.
What's the time there? 1:29. I could probably take a couple more quickly. Will is saying, try and open up a little grocery shop. I live in Brooklyn, and with all big groceries about, it has a lot of mom and pop shops, and that's very handy to people. Indeed. Kurt Richard says, kudos to the trade minister. Our non-oil export is up significantly. That is very true. Angela says the PNM government must spread and pay attention to villages from Ikakas, Bonas, and Tetsoko. She said that, let me also extend condolences to the family of the late Terry Rondon. Certainly a stalwart in the PNM camp, and a man who has devoted significant resources and much of his life to service, public service. And he will certainly be missed, and I trust that the people of Grandy would appreciate all that he would have done for them in the time that he served them. Delano James says, Extra Foods open a new branch in Aram West together with Starbucks on the same compound, but we are suffering. Business is bad. In fact, it is terrible. Yes. Angela also says the UNC will not tell the truth, because if they do, they will be admitting to defrauding the citizens of TNT. So it is up to the PNM courts to tell the voters and citizens what really happened under their reign. So true. Val is also saying NIB has some really interesting initiatives for business startups. That's great. See here, we have on YouTube 7701763. Slick Money Grip says their spies in the ministries can no longer put their dirty hands on all government files because they're all on computer files and they don't have access to the codes. True. Who's this Ricky who says, Brian, enough P&M garbage, come off the radio. You're living in denial. Perhaps Ricky can expound on that for us a little bit. When you all come here and you say these things and we ask you to challenge what is said here, you all cannot, you can't. Every time I throw it out, I ask you to challenge. The UNC is fighting down the Dragon Gas deal. I want to ask you, Ricky, is the Dragon Gas deal good or bad for Trinidad and Tobago? Is it good or is it bad? Do you support it or do you don't support it? Do you support or don't you support? Do you support what your party is doing? Trying to scuttle the Dragon Gas deal, which started under Manning, which was under them, even though they didn't do much to promote it while they were in office. And now, when headway is being made, the most amount of headway we've made in a long time, they're trying to see what they could do to mash it up. How does that benefit the country today and in years to come? How does that benefit us? But you won't come here to tell Brian he's spreading propaganda. Boy, are you good we? You're the masters of propaganda. Just ask an Anal Roberts and you can tell all you. Right? All he can talk about is who pin small and who have man, and that's what he's studying about it. I keep telling Anal Roberts, if you want to come out of the closet, do it. You have a lot of colleagues in your party who could you could go to and ask them for advice on how to do it. No need to hide. Come out. You're obsessed with Marvin Gonzalez, always calling him the Minister of Man. You find Rishi Sukai does walk a little shifty. You find he looking shifty. You call him Stuart Young small pin. You find Faris Al-Rawi pants always tight and his shirt always tight. So all you're doing is only watching these men. Always watching PNM men. What's going on with you, Anel? Brian. Hello?
But I'm glad Ricky is listening to me, you know. That's really good. But because you see, Ricky, I'm talking to you direct now, you and all those of you all like that listening. Your Honorable Prime Minister and Minister of Energy off to London to sign documents. Where's the propaganda in that? Your Honorable Minister of Energy, when you all brought your party brought the private membership issue motion on the Dragon Dance. Why it is they did that? Why it is dead Tim Gopi Singh, politically dead Tim Gopi Singh, have to come and say that the Dragon deal is dead? How do you know that? Who's spreading the propaganda? Explain now. Explain to us, all of us who listen. Explain to us. Why you don't know me, sir? You don't know what information I have. So you wait right there because things are happening and it's bothering you all. And it's amazing that you all are Trinbagonians. And these things are going to benefit all of us, you and I. That you let it bother you so much on a Sunday. Go on to cook something outside of roti and bust a shot. And maybe you might learn something. You understand? But if you want to stick on all the monolithic type of thinking and let Anal Roberts continue to fool all you with his drunken self, just like all your leader. But then you continue, sir. Because if you believe that the Dragon deal will not benefit Trinidad and Tobago and the Dongsteamers who had all your facing the court for $8 billion because all you refused to talk to them and give all the gas to one individual, a Japanese firm, that built a company down in Labre. But then if that's what you think is good for Trinidad and Tobago, well, you go ahead. The likes of you. And you know what's amazing about Olia? All you always talking about things so bad, but you know, all you ain't going Canada, and all you ain't going nowhere, all you staying right here. All you leaving the country to go nowhere, all you staying right in Trinidad and Tobago. Why? It things so bad. I know God be suffering. There's so much suffering. Where's the suffering? Huh? Digital expanding, Flow expanding, Ampere expanding, everybody want to pay big, big money. All these companies expanding. Name one company that's losing, Ricky. Name one. Name one company that you know. After I come off the phone, you name one big company in this country that is losing money today and has closed up and gone away. All these stupidness and Red Mark and them talking about 600,000 people are working. I'm not working, so it includes me. But that don't mean I don't have money. But you don't know that because Red Mark and them put food on you with that stupid talk. You understand? But people working, people getting money. Look at the streets. Ricky, where you living? Huh? Where you living? Buildings going up all over the place. You know, he asking himself a question as to, well, who building that and what is going on? Pennywise don't have youth to study. Christmas still here, they don't have youth to study. Massy stores expanding, they don't have youth to study. The Passage expanding, they don't have youth to study. They even have a restaurant. But you have to book in advance before you can't even walk into that restaurant, Ricky. They will ask you very simply, do you have a booking, sir? And if you don't, you can't get food to eat there because they are booked out. So what you're talking about, so whose money is being spent there? The lie all you want to live will catch up with all you want to get in sleepless nights. I sleep comfortably in this country, Ricky. So don't beat up, friend. Have a good day.
Thank you, Brian. Last call for today. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominic.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, it's sad to know that. Thanks, Brian, for that. You know, it's sad to know that these people who support the UNC, to know that the UNC had never done nothing to me in their lifestyle, in the 11 years as the guy said the other day, nothing for revenue earning. And I don't know why these people that tell you that's how the UNC is so great and how this government, but look at since this government coming, they are the one we do contracts for the country to benefit. These people never do nothing. Aligning revenue. Without revenue, there can't be no expenditure. All them know about is spending money and making all kind of bad deals. And these people come in to talk like Kingsley and them fellas talking that nonsense about Mother Nation and how she's the best thing. And they do nothing for revenue. If it wasn't Dr. Rowley come back in power, you know, we'd have been real trouble. Because remember, Japan, all of them say that the things that they do, they would have carried this country down for at least about 50 years, you know, the money. Yeah. And the PNM were able to come out of that afterward by the way they structure and the way they handle the economy. These people, them talking about nonsense, they know nothing about oil. In the PNM government, nobody oil these and just everything in the past. Right? Imagine Saddam Hussein stand up in Parliament at one time and call Ken Julian and Newsom. Tell me something. And these are fellas who organized together with William and whoever the bill point research.
Yes.
They liquefy natural gas. Will you ever see any brain come like that from the UNC? Only mediocrity. And these fellas only calling and talking stupidness. Which are there no reference get them. Come around the government for 5 years, 3 months and 14 days. No revenue wins. Never put nothing in place. All she do is gain revenue from what Patrick Manning and them did in the past. So when them fellas and them talking, they can't come in and talk nothing because they were nonsense full time. That's what a BS with some of them. Thank you, Dominic, for allowing me this contribution.
Thank you, sir.
I'll listen out here.
Thank you. Yeah, so folks, thank you all so much for joining me today after a week hiatus. Yeah, it's good to be back. So many things to discuss, and we couldn't discuss all today, but Tuesday, God's willing, we will continue the discussion. Yes, remember the 3 days money, indeed. So as the UNC have indicated they intend to ramp up their propaganda over the course of the next 2 years. So they've started in earnest. They have already put out notification for nominations for the general election. So I suppose whenever, perhaps if early, I'm not surprised. Listen, I'm not really taking that on because this is not the first time that they have done that, call for nominations for candidates for elections, and then it just fall by the wayside. So I'm not taking them seriously with that. But let's say on the off chance that they do, and they have this screening, I don't know how it's going to work because if they plan to partner with the NTA, and the NTA is calling for candidates, and the UNC calling for candidates, if 41 people come forward for the NTA and 41 come forward for the UNC, how would that work in? Because you can't, well, anyway, that's their business to figure out, right? But at the end of the day, let us say they work it out, and they complete the screening by the first quarter of 2024. It means that their candidates will be on the ground, trying to get support from early on, right? So they will be campaigning for all of 2024 and whatever period in 2025 until the election is called, because they are hoping to get an advantage on the PNM. So they will be spreading their propaganda, like that. So we need to be on the alert. We need to do what it is that we need to do to ensure that we counter whatever it is they're going out there and telling people. Again, the PNM social media and the PNM's public relations committees need to get their act together. Well, they have plenty of work to do to counter all this propaganda. Myself, Jenny, Juliet, who else we have? Well, Rhoda Barrett is off now, so you have Google, Sharon, John and John, Darian, Mr. Chance. Yeah, so we really cannot do it for ourselves, but we will continue to do what we can do. And I think it's time, as we would have indicated to you, we will be recruiting persons. So I will reach out to Mr. Chance to see how best we can liaise with Minister Young and get that ball rolling, right? Because if they intend to do it, we can't just sit idly by and say, well, the PNM have X amount of seats, so don't take that for granted at all. Because I have a lot of gullible people in Trinidad and Tobago who buy into the nonsense and the lies of Enal and the rest of them, right? And when you read the comments, you're seeing it. They're talking nonsense about the money and the dragon gas and all kind of thing. And so let's see what the outcome of the referendum in Venezuela is today and what the week to come will bring. But we need to make sure that when the bell is rung, and even before that we are ready and raring to go. Thank you so much, Victoria Isidore. You're most welcome. Yes, Juju. Juju is doing, even though those two clowns, Captain Clueless and Professor Misinformed, I see now is a kind of tit for tat thing going on there, so that when Juliet comes off, they come on and they respond to what Juliet says. Juliet and Mr. Aruka says, and then Juliet has to now counter the things that they say. So, yeah. And imagine those two clowns, right? Mutt and Jeff, patting themselves on the shoulder for doing such a great job and talking about, they're getting under people's skin. Yes, you're getting under our skin for the nonsense that's all you're talking. And the fact of the matter is you bringing out people who are just equally as dotish as you all are, or even more so, who endorsing the foolishness and telling all a good job. And all they're doing a good job. A good job of spreading lies and propaganda. Want to call out somebody who made some error in calculation and say the man needs to go back to school and so on. This coming from a man who went on public radio and say that bitumen comes from gravel and stuff. You will get bitumen in the quarry. And this man on radio, and say bitumen comes from the quarry, but he wants to tell people they need to go back to school and learn the ABCs. Look, you can't make this ish up, Folks, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, please. Whatever you do, make sure you keep safe. Marionettes up there, the last night of their concert at Queen's Hall. So I think I'll probably pop in there. And they have a whole series of concerts. It's that Christmas Joy with Brian McFarlane. Then they have Believe with John Thomas. And I think also the Lydians have something coming up. So I'll decide which ones I'm going to go to. And for those persons, I met two persons yesterday down on Nelson Island. The National Trust had their annual Panchakrem and Parang down on Nelson Island, and I met two persons who viewed the live. So thank you all so much for viewing. Always a pleasure to meet you guys when I'm out. So it was a pleasure meeting you guys yesterday. For those who couldn't make it, you all missed a treat. When we say morning to Carol Myers, good afternoon to Carol Myers. Carol couldn't make it this year because she had other plans, but she's usually a staunch supporter of the activities of the National Trust. Also, good afternoon to Mother Tunapuna, good afternoon to Angie, and everyone else. Yeah. So thank you all so much, and we will chat again on Tuesday morning, God's willing. So that's it for me today, folks. Enjoy your Sunday.